Hey guys, before we get into the episode, I just wanted to give everybody a heads up. This episode is explicit. We should have it marked on the episode tags, but for anybody listening to this in mixed company, RJ, there's going to be open cursing. We didn't bleep out on this episode, so just a heads up. Okay. You've been warned.
I'm at the very final choice.
The final choice. What? I don't know.
Well, maybe the final two choices.
Don't fuck around, Robert. Oh, I don't want to cover this yet. I want to cover this part when we get there, so I don't want to talk about what you're choosing, but
Welcome to Co-op Chaos, a game life balance podcast. Here are your hosts, Bob and Aaron.
Hello, I'm Bob.
hello, I'm Aaron, and neither of us were just, making faces at each other in the camera while we waited for the intro to conclude. It definitely was not happening. With us today, you lovely souls joining us. And what are we doing here today? We're gonna talk about Dispatch. We are gonna spoil the ever-living F out of it too. So if that is not something you are interested in, this is your warning. Because we are just gonna go through the whole frickin' game, and Bob and I are just gonna compare our choices throughout. That's our plan. That not your jam? No worries. We'll catch you on the next one. And this is not normally what we do, but this was a game that we just felt needed a little extra attention.
Yeah, I think this game needs a lot of extra attention. There's a little background for people in the game. So it's, AdHoc Studios, which has some former members of the original Telltale Studios. And it's very much a Telltale game if you have ever played any of them. I first got into the Telltale games with the first Walking Dead game that came out because I'm a huge fan of that franchise. And those games were super fascinating to me, very interesting. And when I heard about Dispatch, I was like, all right, I'll give it a try. And I have been in love with this game ever since I started playing it. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think I had mentioned on a previous episode, like you bought this game for me, and I had not played any of these games previously. I think I had maybe played a little bit of one of the Walking Dead games. And I was like, I played it for like 2 seconds, and I didn't really give it a fair shake.
Yeah.
And I mean, one of the biggest issues I have with these games, in general, is I'm a slow reader. So whenever the choices come up, I'm like sitting there like, okay, let's see, what's the first? Oh no, my choices are gone.
Right.
Like I'm still trying to line my eyes up and process the first sentence. And by the time I've done that, I've realized like I've already lost half the time to even pick. Like the one thing I need this game, I don't believe it has because I haven't seen it anywhere, but I need a pause the game on choices option because I need more time to pick. I need more time to pick and consider. I don't like the rushed nature of the choices.
Yeah.
Maybe they were doing that intentionally to make it more gamified or whatever. But I was really enjoying the choose your own adventure aspect of it, so I wanted the option to have more time to pick choices. That's my only real complaint with this.
I think the only thing that they do in Dispatch that's like a different mechanic for that than other like Telltale games is when you do like the hacking function, which we'll discuss at some point here. There is a menu option to make it so you don't have any timed pieces to that. Like you can have ones where they're not timed. So
Oh
like
yeah, I
none of
did
them
see
would be
like on
timed. You can flip that off.
yeah, on the hacking function. I think there's also an option to just like skip that part of the game entirely. I think there's
Yeah,
like a automatic succeed that or something,
right.
which is cool because some people are like, that's not what I'm here for. It's fine.
Yeah, and I mean some of them can be pretty intense too when they are timed, and then you have like the security orb things that are following you around, and I
Yeah.
think they're fun, but it does add to that anxiety aspect that they're trying to push on you in the game. And the
Hmm.
choices piece, that's always been like a classic Telltale games. Like the Walking Dead games were like that, where it was like you have about 2.3 seconds to choose, am I going to save this person or this person? And if you don't pick, they're going to decide for you. And then it just is what it is.
Right. Like, no, I understand, like, in the midst of, like, the action sequences when it's like, press A now, press B now, like, hold this button, tap this button. Like, in those moments, you're doing, like, it's like, okay, we're running you through a cinematic, but we're gamifying the cinematic to try and keep you engaged. Totally
Right.
cool. That I get, but, like, when it's just, like, the dialogue, like, people having the conversations,
Mm-hmm.
I want more time, but again, I think they're still trying to do the same thing. They're trying to gamify like an everyday normal conversation that you'd have with
Yeah.
a coworker or whatever, that's what they're aiming for, and it's fine. But I need more time to read. I'm a
Yeah.
slow reader.
Yeah, and I think I am too, and that's always difficult. But that also like adds to the replay value for me because then I'm like, oh, then I can go back and I can read the other options because I read like one and picked it on impulse my first playthrough, and then, but did I have the desired outcome of every situation? Well, now I need to go back. Now I need to read everything again, which
I
is
can see
like,
that. Yeah.
yeah. So I think, part of it's probably that too. Like they want you to like kind of like when you rewatch like the same movie or show over and over again to pick up different pieces every time. I think it's kind of that vibe, but I can also understand
Yeah.
the frustration because I've paused and like had to like photographic memory think of the choices because I'm like, wait, which one do I want to pick here? But like you can't see it because the pause menu covers the choices. So
I know. I was so
yeah.
angry by that too. Because at one point, I was like, I'm going to see if I can play this game with the wife and like go through. And when it gets to the choice, I'll just pause and be like, what do you want to pick? Like I was going to try and like sit down on the couch and play the game with someone else and be like, pick choices with me. Like, let's sit here and debate a choice. And like, that was going to be fun for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, we can't do that. That's not option. So I guess that would be a second thing I didn't care for about the game. Again, I'm not knocking the game. I love this game, but
I think you probably could make that work. It would just be a very complicated setup where like the wife would have to be recording it on a phone close enough or zoomed in enough so you could actually read that dialogue. And then you're like, all right, did you get that? And then you pause it. And then you're like, all right, show me the screen. Let's look at the choices. So it'd be very interactive, but you could probably make it work. It might be more trouble than it's worth, though.
Yeah, probably. Do you want to go into episode 1?
Yeah, let's dive right into episode 1. No, I don't think we need a ton of setup. I'm ready to just chat about the game.
All right, so episode 1 looks like we only have 4 choices to make. And the first one is, I believe this is immediately after the initial fight scene opening, and you're at the bar afterwards after just getting your power suit like destroyed, right?
Yeah. I don't think they give you the choices in order necessarily and they don't give you all of like so some of the choices are smaller. I guess we could kind of go through that. It gives you like the main choices and then some of the ones that impact like the game, but there's ones like, right. So like, initially, like, I think the first thing that you decide is a piece of dialogue where, you're laying down on the floor and Toxic is the guy he's like tied up in a chair. He's one of the bad guys that you fight periodically throughout the game. And he's like, well, did you love your dad or whatever? And, you have to decide like, no, like he wasn't around. Like, yes, I love my dad. So like, there's some dialogue choices that aren't covered in the episode.
Oh, I don't have those in the choice stats.
Yeah, they're not in mine either. But yeah, those ones are just kind of like less consequential ones that are more like you role playing the character and how you want them to be perceived versus like impact to the story.
It's more flavor text.
Yeah. So like you can decide throughout those dialogue choices whether or not Robert liked his dad or didn't like the fact that he was a hero and he wasn't around enough.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember what I chose for those.
Yeah, I've picked different answers for him, and depending on your answer, it'll change how Toxic responds. But like for the most part, he basically just makes fun of you, and he's a jerk, and you're just kind of like, yeah, thanks for that, buddy. We can just go through like the choices like in order in this like menu for viewing it, and just kind of talk about those moments. It doesn't have to be in order of like the episode timeline.
No, yeah, I'd say like let's run through the episode choices that we have in the choice sets because that's all I have to go off of. And then if you have any other notes or anything that you're like, oh, like the choice stats didn't cover this, I wanted to mention this too.
I have notes. I have lots of notes.
So first choice stat I have here is interacting with Flambe. Well, let's just go with your most recent run through. What did you do to interact with Flambe? So Flambe comes up to your character and is being a jerk at the bar. Mm-hmm. What did you do to deal with him?
This run through, I threw the alcohol on him. So you have the choice of throwing water or alcohol on him, and alcohol makes him flame up, and it burns off his eyebrows, and he gets really, really mad about it.
I threw water on him. My thinking was at this point, I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to be a good guy. I'm still trying to do like I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try and like play a hero. Like I'm gonna not be a jerk. I'm gonna make good choices. And I was like, all right, I gotta deal with him somehow. Let's use water. Yeah,
I did water my very first playthrough, but then I was like, you know what? Like I'm gonna choose alcohol, and I think I've chosen it every other time since because he like. You know, he comes up, you throw the alcohol cup over your shoulder. It's in like, so like you're drinking with Blonde Blazer. So to give the listeners a little bit of like frame of reference, you're at this bar. She goes to like the bathroom because you spit up vodka on her. And I'll talk about that when we go through. I have a lot of notes about that because it's hilarious. But Flambe comes up, he's giving you a hard time. He's like, you know, this is a heroes bar for real heroes, and you throw the vodka at him, and his whole head just catches on fire, and he starts like screaming, and then his eyebrows are burning up, like his hair's on fire, and then Punch Up, one of the other characters, he comes over and he's trying to like fan him off with like a tray that he grabs from like a waiter, and then Coupe is just like, you're literally fanning the flames right now. and then Flambe runs out of the bar screaming, and Punch Up chases him, and then Coupe says something like funny to you about it.
That's awesome. The next choice?
Yeah, we can go to the next one.
Blazer.
Yeah, did you kiss her or did you let the moment pass?
So at this point, I absolutely did not kiss her. Like, listen, like I'm a hero, or a former hero at this point almost, who doesn't have powers, is a mecha suit hero, and I just lost my freaking mecha suit. And a superhuman, like I wasn't getting any vibes off of her initially, and I don't know her, and she's a superhuman, and I've watched the shows Invincible and what's the other one? That's like really brutal.
The Boys.
It's a live action. Yeah, The Boys. Like after watching those shows, I'm like, no, I'm not making a pass at a superhuman. No. That is a quick road to a funeral. You know, like no, I'm not making a pass at a superhuman. Like if she makes a pass at me, we'll cross that bridge and deal with those consequences. But nope. That was my thinking. Like, I'm not pissing off a superhuman female and getting my head punched in because I did something stupid by accident. Nope.
Yeah, that's fair. So, like, on my first playthrough and my most recent, I read the room and decided that she was being pretty flirty with Robert, so I did kiss her. I've had other playthroughs where I didn't, but most of those were driven by because like I knew going into it that I was going to pursue Invisigal instead of Blazer, so I was like, I'm going to start off with a clean slate and make sure that it's clear which character I'm shipping. But so I kissed her, and when you do that, you know, like she definitely seems interested in it at first, but then she kind of pulls back, and then she's like, oh, like this was like an unprofessional approach, like I, you know, was actually here to like talk to you about doing this dispatching thing. But it's kind of like you can kind of see that there's like a little bit of a spark from her there, so she doesn't kill you, which is good.
Okay, yep, that's good. And then we have two choice, a goon fight and success rate. I guess this is stats from your fight before.
Yeah.
I pulled up the goon. I was still trying to be like the hero.
Yeah.
So I pulled him back up. I don't know if we need to go into success rates. We don't need to measure dicks, but we can if you want.
No, we don't need to. I don't necessarily care about those.
Okay.
Yeah, so I pulled him up the first time, and this time I pulled him up. Oh, my console battery is low. I have a power cable here. We need to make this happen. You're not going to ruin our fun time, Nintendo Switch battery life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I pulled him up this time, but I have dropped him on other playthroughs before.
Okay.
When you drop him, you're still... It's a little more of like a shady hero, but you're still a hero. Like, he doesn't get hurt. You actually intentionally drop him on a dumpster that's like padded. So it's like he preemptively set it up, but like you don't know that if you haven't done it before. But I was like, I wonder what happens to this guy. Like, do I still see him later if I drop him, or is he dead? But no, he's very much alive still because he lands on like a soft padded dumpster thing.
Oh, okay.
And then he's like, I can't fucking believe you dropped me. And you're just like, you're alive, you're fine.
Press conference. What'd you do at the press conference?
You know, I've picked the same choice every time just because for some reason it just always feels like the right one, and I always just answer the reporter. I don't walk away, I don't attack him, I think is the other option. I always just answer the question and then that's it.
Yeah, because there's a reporter, like this is right after your fight that you've just gotten your butt kicked on and your suit's trashed, and you're having a press conference or whatever, and a reporter asks you like some really like rude question. I forget what it was.
Yeah, it was about like, you know, like, oh, like, did you like, do you realize that like you failed at like avenging like your father's death at the hands of this supervillain that you've been trying to get? Like, he's like, most heroes like avenge their family, like, but you didn't. And you're like, that's not a question. And then he's like, well, my question is, you know, are you done? Like, what's happening or whatever? I forget exactly how he frames it, but the guy's just kind of like a pushy jerk and basically insulting you.
Yeah. So, I mean, my choice there was I was like, I was so offended on my character's behalf, both as the character and like as an audience member. I was like, how dare you, sir? Rude.
Right. What a jerk.
This dude just was in a life and death situation and just lost basically everything to try and protect people. And you're like, why do you suck? And it's, fuck you, man. Like, what the hell? Eat a dick. So I cut the press conference short. I was just like, no, I'm done. I'm not a superhero anymore. I don't fucking owe you anything. I'm out.
Absolutely. I agree. You can for sure just like, yeah, screw you. Like, I think that's a good choice too. I've never done the attack him choice. I kind of want to though, because I want to see how you attack him. I mean, I would imagine that you probably just like, I don't know if it's a verbal attack or, you know, if you're just like, fuck you, piece of shit, or if you like physically assault. Yeah.
It'd be funny.
I might have to do that.
I'm calling it. If Robert throws a microphone and beans it off the guy's head, if not that, okay, something else. But that's what I wish. That's what I want him to do. It's like how, you know, the reporter asks a question, just see Robert like rip a microphone off and just hum it at him, and it's boom, right off his forehead, and he just goes down, and everyone's like, and then like Robert's just fucking leaving. That'd be fun.
Now, I mean, anyone that has played it, if you've picked the attack option, number one, tell us what happens, because I don't want to spoil myself and look it up. But if somebody who's played it before wants to share, like, I will let myself be spoiled. I just don't want to look it up intentionally. But also, if you have any insight, that would be great. But yeah, screw that guy. What an asshole. He's such a jerk. He deserves to be attacked. Yeah, if you did pick the attack option, I feel like you're justified.
Mm-hmm.
What did you name Flambe? This is one of my favorite things, and I wrote it down because I wasn't sure if it was going to be in the stats.
I went with sunglasses at night guy.
You know, we might have to make this episode explicit and just let it be what it's going to be, because there's a lot of stuff in here that's just very explicit. So I dubbed him this run through, and I've done the sunglasses at night guy before because I thought it was funny, but every other time I've picked Doctor Don't Do Shit. I love that choice so much because he's like, oh yeah, Doctor Don't Do Shit. Yeah. He's like, you're that guy that like comes up to people at the bar and talks a bunch of shit, and then you do fucking nothing about it. Doctor Don't Do Shit. It's so good. What an insult. It's amazing.
And that should be it for this episode of choices, unless you had anything else to talk about before we go into episode 2.
So I had my note about whether or not to drop Toxic. I didn't drop him, and my note was life is precious. So like you need to embrace Robert being a full hero, because the way that Robert interacts with different people will eventually have an impact on Invisigal and whether or not she becomes the hero at the end or stays a villain. So I kind of went into this playthrough thinking, I know I'm going to ship Blazer, but I also want Invisigal to like really be the hero 100%. I don't want there to be any question. So I just tried to make Robert the absolute role model from the start. So this is another one that this was a choice that I wish that they put in the stats. So when you go to the warehouse place to confront Shroud and everyone else, Toxic is there, and he's sitting in like a security office chair thing, and he turns around and he's like giving you like a bunch of crap or whatever. And as he's like talking, and he's like, oh, like your father died, like, and you're just like a little bitch, and he's being super mean, you can like say something to him, or you can just like ignore him. And I just ignored him, and then you can choose what your mech suit does, because you're not in the suit yet. You like call it in, and I think it can either step on him or it can punt him. And I always I only picked the stomp once because the punt is just so hilarious, because it just rips through the floor, it punts him through the ceiling, and he just goes flying off into the distance. It is hilarious.
If I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure I chose punt.
It's the best option.
Oh, come on.
It's so good. He's just like, it's just like boom, and you just see him go flying. Oh, I love that option. And then after the press conference, you are watching this TV through like a store window, and it's kind of like showing like, you know, like your coverage that you just did. And then these guys show up in these different colored masks to rob the store. And you have a few different options there. And one of the choices is like, you know, like, what do you say to them? You're like, you could be like, that's rude. Or you could be like, I was watching that asshole. And I love that option. Or you could just ignore it. It's like, ignore it and walk away. But I've never done that. But I think if you do that, they still will like antagonize you and you fight them anyways. And then some of like the language choices. So like you have like, so like we said before, you have all these like dialogue choices that you make that aren't covered in these like end of episode stats. One of them is like, you're drinking with Blonde Blazer at the bar, and this is before you throw the glass on a flambe, and you find out that she's drinking pint glasses of vodka, and that's where you get the pint glass that you throw on flambe. So when she's drinking it, you have a few different options of things to say. So the one that I ran with this time was telling her like, oh, that looks like a challenge, because she just like chugs it. And she's like, yeah, it takes a lot for me to feel anything. And he's like, oh, what a sad sentence. And I absolutely loved that little line between them. And that was just dialogue that
Yeah.
you didn't choose, where he's like, what a sad sentence. But yeah, there's a lot of little snippets of dialogue and stuff that happens throughout this game that I just really, really leaned on.
There was good writing in this game.
Right. And then, yeah, so then she asks you if you're drunk at some point, and you're like, yeah, I should probably switch over to water. And then you grab a glass and you start to drink it, but it's actually her vodka glass. And she's like, oh, wait, don't. And then you spit the vodka out into her mouth, and that's how you find out she's just chugging pints of vodka. And then she's like, I got to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. And he's like, I'm so sorry for spitting vodka into your mouth.
But I mean, that's already like third base, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's, you're getting really kinky when you're spitting your booze into one of your love interest's mouths right out of the gate. So then, after that happens, you get kicked out of the bar, and you're waiting for Blonde Blazer up by this like dumpster, and she comes out and she's got like a couple of drinks, and she's like, oh, like, let's go, like, go to this other place where we can kind of see this nice view. And she picks you up because she can fly, and she flies you through Los Angeles to go like sit on this like dumpy like advertising billboard. But while you're going through
right.
like this little flying sequence, and like Robert's like looking at all of like the scenery around, I had this note that I was like, this is just like a really visually stunning game. Like, they put so much into the aesthetic of this game. I think it's a beautiful game.
It is, yeah. 100%. Yeah. The art style on this was very enjoyable.
Yeah, it's very appealing, the cartooniness, but like it's also not even cartoony. It's just like very vibrantly colored, but it feels like you're watching a comic play out.
Yeah, I was about to say very comic book.
Yeah. The corporate test simulator that you have to do to like test to see if you can be a good dispatcher or not, like I don't think that has any bearing, like whether or not you do good on, like you always get picked to be a dispatcher. But I just thought it was so funny because it really reads like one of those dumb, like, you join a corporation, they're like, watch all these dumb training videos that tells you how to not like sexually harass people and not be like a racist piece of shit, and how to like conduct yourself in the workplace. And it was just really well done. And like the dialogue in it was one of the characters, like Phenomena Man, he's kind of narrating like what to do, and it's just very like reading off script sounding.
Yeah.
So I thought that was super funny and very apt.
Mm-hmm.
And then the song that plays when Blonde Blazer is flying you to the sign, and then again at the end of the episode when the credits roll, it's like one of the songs that was composed for the game. It wasn't like one of the licensed songs. I just really like that song. I think it's very, very nice sounding, like an electronic song.
That episode ends with Blazer needing to leave in a hurry and like fly off to an emergency or something, and then your character being like, and I'm stuck up here on the billboard.
Right. Oh my god, it's so funny. Yeah, and then at like the very end of the episode, like you go back to your apartment, you're just like sitting there like eating like some food or whatever, and you've got like your little chubby dog who's named Beef, which I love. And you're just like leaning up against your mech suit, the pieces of it. Yeah, Beef is the best. He's such a good dog. But like, I like how Robert's just in his like shitty apartment. He's like leaning up against his mech suit that's just in the corner, and like it's missing a leg, and he's got like a little like TV playing, and he's just like, yeah, like I met this nice lady, and I think we're gonna be okay, because like you could tell he was like probably thinking like his whole life was over.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of like interesting like commentary and tone about like when like you hit rock bottom and something just happens to come your way, that it's like, maybe this is my chance to like go in a different direction, and I can still make something of my life.
Yeah. So I mean, for anybody who hasn't played, just for the backstory, because I think we forgot to mention it, your character Robert, who plays this Iron Man equivalent, isn't rich. I mean, obviously, otherwise why are you working as a dispatcher? But like they like your character is somebody who like their father was a mech suit guy, and their father was a mech suit guy or whatever. So you're like generational mech suit guy. But the family wealth has been spent at this point by the third generation. So you are just like holding your mech suit together with like duct tape and bubble gum. And like this fight was like the final thing that pushed you over, where you're like, I can't afford to recover from this. Like, this is like, I can't be a hero anymore. I'm out.
Yeah, so like the dispatching coming into play, he's like, well, now I've got a job, at least I can like afford to live.
That was him and Beef being like, I think we're going to be okay.
All right, so episode 2. Now this episode, you show up to the SDN, which is the Superhero Dispatching Network. That's the place where Robert's going to work for the rest of the game. And you kind of get acquainted with like the corporate life. You meet some of the people in the office you're going to work with, and then you get introduced to your team. So that's kind of like how like you initially get to like figure out how to be a dispatcher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the first choice that they give you, and I would say like as this went on, I took less and less notes per episode, so I don't have quite as much, but we can just go through the choices. So the first one, and I love this choice, and I've picked the same one every time. Did you bro fist Royd at the urinal while you guys were peeing next to each other?
I absolutely did. I couldn't leave him hanging. He was such a good-natured fellow.
Right.
And it was like if this happened to me in real life and this was the person who was doing it, I'd still probably like I was like, oh man, like, all right, yeah, here you go.
You gotta if anyone who played this game, if you didn't bro fist Royd, then you're a monster. That's all I gotta say.
He's so nice. He's such a nice guy.
He is. He's the best dude.
Yep.
And then the next choice that you have in the game, and well, not in the game, but the next choice that they give you to talk about at the end of the episode is, did you cover for Invisigal? Did you rat her out? How did you handle that situation with Blonde Blazer?
I have a firm stance when it comes to workplaces. I don't talk about other employees.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm not going to rat her out. Especially, like, Robert's, like, just coming into this company. He doesn't know the dynamics.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the last thing I'm going to do is come in and be like, yeah, this person's a fucking problem. And then be, like, upset the whole team. I'm just going to be like, nope, everything's cool. We're good. Like, you know, I'm, like, I get it. Like, you know, Invisigal was this, like, they've already explained it in the story at this point, is that a lot of their heroes are reforming villains.
Right.
So it's like, I don't want to throw this kid, you know, because the character seemed very young to me initially. I didn't realize, I think she's supposed to be like Robert's age, but like initially when I was viewing this episode, I interpreted that character as much younger. So like that was why initially for Robert, I was like, I'm not going to choose Invisigal as the love interest because she seems too young. I realized later, like she was like, oh, I think she's supposed to be the same age. Like, okay, this isn't as weird as I thought it was. But yeah, like I'm like I'm not going to throw her under the bus. I don't like throwing people under the bus if I don't have to.
Yeah, I agree. And to give the listeners that are listening to the episode because they want to but haven't played Dispatch, so towards the end of the episode, like you've been dispatching, you're sending your heroes on your team, which are all reformed villains, by the way. That's one of the shticks to this, is that you get a team of reformed villains that are trying to learn how to be heroes and kind of change their ways. And there's all these different missions that you send them out to, like, oh, like go rescue a cat from a tree, like go escort this person safely to the airport. This person's being attacked by thugs, go beat up the thugs and save them. At the end of the episode, you have this mission where you send Invisigal to a donut shop, and I think they forced the hero on that one because she's like, I need to go back there because I got banned from there before for stealing donuts, so I need to go like make it right. And she encounters a villain there. She fights with the villain, but then at the very end of it, like you're helping her and you're kind of like, you need to do this as like a final choice. And she's like, no, like I'm done listening to you. Like I'm going to do what I want. And she does the opposite. And the interesting thing, and it's probably in here, but like whichever choice you pick, she always pushes against you and she picks the opposite one to be a rebel. So it doesn't matter which one you go with. She's always going to counter you and say, no, I'm going to do the other thing. So she does that, and then it causes a bunch of problems. And then when she comes back, you're like, you disobeyed like my order, like you have to follow me. And like, you have a bunch of choices there on like what to say to her. And regardless, like she gets mad at you and then she seems like she leaves, she goes invisible, she comes back in, and then she punches you in the face. And then you go to Blonde Blazer's office, who kind of like runs the branch for SDN, and you have the choice of whether or not to rat her out. And I agree, I didn't rat her out. I was like, yeah, it's really dry in here, and I just get nosebleeds a lot. I thought that was the best dialogue choice there.
Yeah, no, I just like, if I was in that position, even if I was in that position in real life, I think I'd be like, I'm a new manager walking into this situation with, I was given a warning ahead of time, like, these are stable peoples who are trying to get back on the right path. Yeah. I'm not gonna like kick her legs out from under her because she made a very big, be it a very big social faux pas. I mean, okay, she committed a crime, assault.
Yeah.
I'm gonna again, I'm a new manager coming into this situation. I don't know everybody yet. Like I haven't had even had a chance to try and earn their trust or anything. So I'm like if she continued, like if I was at the point where I was into episode 7 or something and this was happening and this character was continuing to be a problem on my team, I'd probably be making a different choice. Be like, yeah, I think we need to let her go, unfortunately. But
yeah, this
was like coming into the situation. I'm like, no, I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, and I think when you play through the initial time, you kind of realized by the end of the game, this, I guess, is more of like a big spoiler. If you haven't, you don't want to hear this, maybe skip ahead like 20 or 30 seconds. But she's essentially like the secondary protagonist. Like, you're there to really mostly help her character reform. That's kind of like your main purpose. So the more that you support her, big arc. Right, the better the outcome is for her. And you can choose to be abrasive with her and to not support her, but then I think you kind of fail the overall like arc of the game. But it is an option. You can choose that, and then whatever happens, if they have a second game, that would play into it, I would think.
Yeah. So
next up for choices, and this is another reason why I think we need to make this one explicit. Which donut did you choose?
This was one of the ones where I feel like I definitely didn't have enough time to read and consider. So I was like, I've been in these situations before, back in like high school days, where you're like, I know no matter what I respond with, this person's going to sit here and give me a hard time about it.
Yeah.
So I was like, I glanced at the choices. I saw the word Long John, and I'm like, I'm just going to give him the easy one. I'm just going to just all right, let's just pick it. We know that they're going to go there.
Yep.
And give me a hard time about what donut I like to eat. Okay. Yeah, it's a Long John. Go ahead. Let's have it. Make fun of me. Okay, get it over with. That was my attitude for that choice. How about you?
I picked Long John. I only picked a different donut one time in one of my playthroughs, and it was the glazed donut, and it's just as vulgar and hilarious. But so when you pick the Long John, you're like, yeah, one of the long cream-filled donuts, and Invisigal says to you, because she asks you, she's like, what's your favorite donut? And then you're like, you can choose either plain donut, a cream-filled Long John, or a glazed donut. And when you pick the Long John, she says, oh, so you like a dick donut? And you're like, what? And she's like, yeah, a dick donut. Like, you like it, like it's got, like, it'll shoot out the cream, like it's all like in your mouth and up your ass. And then Robert's sitting there at his desk dispatching. And then he's like, yep, you got me. He's like, I love a big long donut, like in my throat and up my butt. And then of course he's in a call center setting, right? So there's all these other dispatchers and office workers around them. And then he realizes that it goes quiet. So then he kind of looks around and he's just like, hey, first day. And then everyone just kind of goes back to business. But yeah, if you pick the glazed donut, she's like, oh yeah, so you like it all like sloppy and like glazed over, like you like covering your donut with like, you like it all like covered and smothered. And she's just like super gross, and it's hilarious because she's like this throughout the whole game. But like, this is probably like her most like vulgar dialogue in the game, and I was there for it. It was hilarious.
Yes, it's definitely good.
So the next choice that you get, or that's listed here, and I think it's right at the end, is you're at the end of your shift, like you're done, you walk out with Blonde Blazer, and you have the choice to like ask her out to dinner or, you know, like kind of like just like chat with her. And in this one, because I knew I was like going to try and, you know, like make the relationship with her work, I attempted to ask her out, even though I knew how things were going to play out. What did you do?
I attempted to ask her out because at that point I'm like, okay, I'm playing a game. I know there's going to be love interests involved. I don't know who. At that point, I didn't know what love interests were going to be available.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was just going to be choice between Blazer or Invisigal. And at that point, I still thought Invisigal was too young. So I was like, okay, let's X out that choice.
Right.
So I was like, all right, let me I'm not going to make a pass at a superhuman, but she's been flirty. She seems interested in me. I'll see if she wants to go out to dinner, you know? So, yeah, I asked her out.
Yeah, I think it's reasonable, especially at this point in the game.
Yeah.
So I like this sequence because, like, whether or not you ask her out, you know, or you just, like, say something else, she's kind of like, oh, like, yeah, like, by the way, like, I wanted to tell you this before, but, like, I kind of have a boyfriend. And then this dude shows up, Phenomenon, who's one of the heroes that you've already, like, seen in the game. If you find out that he's Blonde Blazer's boyfriend, and he's, like, an alien, like, Superman-esque type character who, like, is, like, incredibly powerful. So, like, you're immediately like, oh, shit. Like, you know, like, this guy's gonna fuck me up. So, like, if you kissed her and then you've asked her out, you're kind of, like, fearing for your life right now. But, and then, so then it gets awkward because then he's just like, he's like, who is this? Like, I thought I've met all of your compatriots. And he has this kind of, like, voice like that, you know, and she's like, oh, this is, you know, this is Robert. And he's just like, he's like, Robert Robertson the Third. And, like, he says all this, like, goofy stuff to you. And then he's like, I have heard of you. And he's like, I expected you to be much larger. And he's just kind of like very like direct in what he says. Like he just kind of says it as it is because he isn't like human. So he's not used to like.
Yeah, human social niceties.
Right. So then he asks you if you want to go to Tokyo to go to dinner because he's just going to fly, like, superhero power fly with Blazer to go to Tokyo to eat, like, dream sushi or something, which I thought was funny. So you have the choice to either go to dinner with them or you have two options to, like, get out of it. Either, like, oh, no, like, you know, like, I've got to go do some laundry, or, like, no, I got to go take care of my dog, which is true. He has a dog. He's got a responsibility. So I've always chosen the dog, but, like, I have heard that if you choose to go to dinner with them that it gets hilarious, and I'm like, I kind of want to, but you can tell that Blazer doesn't want you to because of what we'll talk about in the next episode that happens. But yeah, so that was funny. So man, I said no to dinner.
I'm so curious. I'm so curious to dinner now, but yeah, again, I was in that same situation where I was like, you know what, I wasn't sure about a superhuman girlfriend love interest, but, you know, maybe we can go in that direction. And then it was like, oh yeah, by the way, this is my boyfriend, Superman equivalent. And I was like, and this character's dead to me. The moment I found out she was dating a Superman equivalent, man. I was like, nope. This character is now sister territory. Off limits, like, no. Like, there are no moves made on this character. Because if there are, like, it is going to be, like, you know, again, you know, an invincible scene or something from The Boys. And nope.
Right, yeah. I was very much expecting this guy to go, like full Homelander from The Boys. So, like, at this point in my first playthrough, I was like, nope, Invisigal. I'm going for Invisigal. This is it. I'm done. But you know, I previously on one of my playthroughs, I went for Blazer just to see what would happen. So, like, I do know that, like, it is a safe option, but you do have to confront things at some point down the road. So it's like, it's not 100%, but it's not really like a threat on your life, I would say.
Yeah.
So.
I at this point, having played through the whole game, I would feel safe to go after Blazer. Because the character from Phenomenon, even though they do that, their relationship does well. Yeah, I mean, okay, whatever. We're talking about spoilers. I know it's the next episode, but yeah, their relationship ends up ending, and Phenomenon is very depressed about it.
Right.
So given his character and how he's a good-natured character, I don't think I can't see his character knowing his character better now. I don't see his character attacking Robert in any scenario, really.
Yeah, I've never been able to get him to. I don't think that happens at all, but I mean, it is nice. And you do meet other characters in the game that also like Phenomenon, and some characters are just like, this guy's a tool. And you can kind of decide that actually at the beginning of this episode. So when you show up, you're kind of in this like little lobby area, and you meet one of the other heroes that you can eventually have on your team, Waterboy, and he's interviewing to be a janitor, which is hilarious because he's actually like in like superhero garb. But he's just like a huge Phenomenon like fanboy, and he's just, you're watching like a video and he's just like, oh, he's so great. And you can either be like, nah, like he's an asshole, like Phenomenon's arrogant, or you can be like, yeah, he's, you know, he seems like he's a cool guy. And you can kind of like frame how Robert feels about him in that moment. It's not like it doesn't have any weight on like how Waterboy views you or how like you interact with Phenomenon. It's just kind of like a part of like the role playing aspect of like, you can decide whether or not you're team Phenomenon or your team Phenomenon should go into the sun and die. But yeah, so moving on to the next choice, did you let Sonar meet Vanderstink?
I did not. I felt bad about it. I wanted to hook him up, but he was being really obsessive and weird about it because it was somebody he was a fan of, right? I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, so Sonar is this human bat character guy who has like the embodiment of like an 80s like Wall Street business type guy. He's like got a suit. He has that like kind of cadence and voice. Like if you've ever watched American Psycho, Christian Bale's character, like he feels very much like that kind of person from the 80s. He's got this kind of like cadence, like he does coke. He's he's all into like money and finances and stuff and like building wealth. Like it's just that stereotype. And this Vanderstink guy is this like, he's like some like hotshot entrepreneur billionaire type character in the Dispatch universe. So like Sonar idolizes him and he wants to like be like him, I guess, because he's like, I just want to be like a rich yacht owning multi mansion owner across the world type rich guy. So you have the choice of like, you can let him go do this mission where he gets to meet Vanderstink, or you can send someone else. And I initially didn't on my first playthrough because I was just like, no, like you don't get to choose. Like this is me telling you what to do and you're not going to beg me and I'm just going to give it to you. But then on this playthrough, I knew going in how I was going to approach Sonar later in the game. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do him as many solids as I can to see if that changes any outcomes at the end of the game. And I think it might have, but I'm not 100% sure. But since it's in the end stats here, I think it probably did have something to do with how he ended up.
Most likely. Yeah. I wanted to hook him up. I was just like, man, we're trying to be professional here. I can't.
Right.
Like I'm new here, man. Like if I let that slide and then like you do something that screws stuff, like it's gonna be me in trouble or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, so nah, man, I can't.
Now, I mean, at the same time, he's always been successful when I've chosen him on playthroughs to do that mission. So like he has the skill set, and that might be a good time to talk about this. So all of your heroes, like you can increase their stats throughout the game depending on like their successes. So like they get experience based on like successes on these missions. And there's like 5 different stats in the game that you get to increase for the characters. There's like an attack one, there's a defense one, there's like speed, movement one, there's like charisma is one of them, and then there's intelligence. And each one of these characters, they start off with like one of those stats being higher than the rest. So like you kind of like lean into a certain stat, but you can make them more rounded. It's kind of like your choice. And Sonar starts off with a higher intelligence level than everybody else for some of those like missions. Like they make the missions not super obvious, but the language in them is kind of like bolded and highlighted, so you can see like I'm supposed to determine from these words whether or not I should pick a character that is more intelligent, more charismatic, etc., to be more successful in the mission,
Right.
because it's random. Like, you're not always going to be successful in every mission, even with the best stats, but you want to try and line it up as best as possible, basically. And that one was actually like an intelligence geared mission, so sending him is the right choice, you know, like more or less, but they kind of make you feel like you shouldn't give in to him. But it's also like a bait and switch, because it's like, if you don't, like, your success rate is going to be pretty low.
Yeah, I don't remember, but I don't think I succeeded on that mission.
Yeah, I don't think most people do. You can, like, if you send like Prism, who's one of the other characters, I don't think her intelligence is high, but her charisma is, so it's like she might succeed. But
oh, maybe I did. I don't know, because that's the next stat. It mentions Prism.
Yeah. So the next stat, we can go into this one. So, did you have Prism? Let's see, name. Oh yeah, what did you have her name? The fight men.
The fight men. I don't remember exactly what this choice is, but apparently I chose Saber and the Bruiser.
That's what I have too. I don't know that you get to choose that. I think that's one of those like auto choices that happens based on other factors that have led up to that. And I don't know how that one's determined, because like there's some of these choices in here that like you didn't directly choose it, but you indirectly chose it based on previous choices. So I think that's one of those. Now for this episode, this shift, who was your most sent hero?
Coop.
Yeah, Coop is...
Or is it Coupe?
I think it's Coupe, but everybody calls her Coop because they don't see the accent on the E. It's like a joke. I think Blonde Blazer actually explains that when she's walking you through the call center for the first time.
Oh,
she's like, yeah, everybody calls her Coop, but it's actually Coupe. Yeah, I had Invisigal as my most sent hero, but part of that is because I know, like, the more attention you give her, the higher her chances are of coming out as a hero at the end. So I probably gave her, like, too much attention, but...
Listen, Coop was just a solid employee, okay?
Yeah.
Like, she's a little grim, she's a little dark and serious, but, you know, that's good for professionalism.
Right.
So she was a professional no matter what. So I was like, I forget which stat she had high. I think it was speed, but like I found that very useful.
Yeah, you know, that reminds me, I didn't take a note of this, but there's a part where she has dialogue where like she says something to the effect of like, you know, like, if you need me to kill somebody, Robert, let me know. I will kill anyone for you and for SDN. And then someone's like, I don't think that they have us assassinating anybody, because she's like a former assassin. And they're like, yeah, we don't kill anybody here. And she's like, whatever they want. And I think that's her way of being like, please let me kill somebody. I'm bloodlust right now. She's so funny. So do you have any, I think that's the end of the stats. Do you have anything else that you want to talk about? Otherwise I can kind of run through some notes.
We can move on. Or all right. We can run through your notes.
Yeah, so I've played through this game 5 times, and this was the first time I picked up on this. When you're in the lobby, you're talking to Waterboy, and then Blonde Blazer comes out and she's like, oh, I need him, I need to go do something. And it's because you're wearing your Mecha Man costume. So he has like a costume with a mask that he wears when he's in the suit. And then she like pulls you into this conference room all like panicked and hastily, and she's shutting the blinds and stuff, and she's just like, we got to get you changed, you know, we don't want anyone knowing what your identity is. And he's like, okay, like, what's the big deal? And she's like, you know, like everyone that's dispatching here typically is like a former hero, but we try to keep the identities hidden because like, since you're dealing with a group of former villains, like, we don't know what your history has been like with them. And that plays into one of the later episodes too. So one thing that I notice is like, so when you're changing, and I wish that they had these stats in here, because like you get to choose like what to say to Blonde Blazer while you're changing, because she's just like watching you change. And you can say something like, oh, like, you know, like, can I get a little privacy? Or like, you're like, I don't mind if you watch, or, which is kind of gross, but like also kind of like, I think he's being like a little saucy. Or you can say,
he's trying to be flirty.
Right. Or you're like, well, this is the biggest HR violation, which is like the most hilarious one. I love that one. And then she's kind of like, oh, and she like,
probably what I chose.
Yeah. And then like, you know, so then she turns around, but then she's still watching him in like the reflection of the glass. And then he says this thing where he's like, He's like, I know it doesn't look like it, but I'm flexing every muscle in my body right now, because he's this like scrawny dude. But while he's changing, and that after that sequence happens, like it kind of like shows like her like, you know, not looking at him again, and then he kind of like walks to the side, and then you just see like the camera zoom in on like the wall in between where they were both standing, and I was like, oh shit, that's where Invisigal was hiding, because she was hiding out in the conference room, and she finds out that, and then that's where she runs away from the wall, when she's just like, because then Robert throws like his costume and it lands on her, and then she's like, oh shit, and she starts running for the door, and then she hits the door because the door doesn't open, and then you find out that now Invisigal knows your identity because she was there invisible watching what was happening. And It was like this little subtle detail that I noticed on the 5th playthrough, and I was like, oh, that's so clever. Like, what a clever little cinematic piece for them to throw in. And I think like those details are what really make this game like something as special as it is. Some of the other things that I really enjoyed in this episode, so right after that happens, Invisigal is kind of like checking you out, and you're like, it's kind of hard to tell, like, is she into you, is she not, like, what's going on? And that's, I think, when you kind of figure out that they're both going to be your love interest for the game. But she makes this comment to you, and she's like, so what is this, like, Best Buy Fight Club, like, based on your appearance, because like you're no shirt on, you're wearing like, you know, like suit pants. And I just thought that line was hilarious. Best Buy Fight Club. So funny. So then we already talked about fist bumping Royd in the bathroom. So you go in the bathroom, you're at the urinal, Royd comes in, he starts talking to you because you find out he knows who you are, he knows your secret identity. But then like after you know, do like the fist bump and he talks to you, he goes to like touch you, like he touches your shoulder, and you kind of like look at it all grossed out because he never went to the sink to wash his hands. So like Robert's kind of like and then so he's like, yeah, maybe like wash your hands first. And then he's like, oh, no need, brother. Like, he's like, I just do this. And he's like shaking, like, you know, like his hips and stuff. And he's like, I didn't even touch it. He's like, I don't need to wash my hands. And he's like, and when I shake, I just do this. And he's like pulling like his pants up to like, you know, shake his dick basically, to shake the pee off of it. And he's like, see, no hands. And he's like, no problem. And then after he does this shaking his pants thing, like Robert just says, can you show me that again? I thought that was hilarious. So then after that in the episode, or yeah, I think right after that, you learn about this guy Chase, who's one of the other dispatchers, and you find out that like, so like he's this old guy, right? But then you learn that like Robert has this history with him. So like your first interaction with him, like you can say like a few different things, but like one of them is like why is this happening right now? Because he's just like hugging you, and he's just like, hey, like, how are you, kid? And he's like, what is this old dude doing hugging me? And he's like, what's the matter? Like, you don't recognize me? And Chase is like super like vulgar and like, you know, foul mouthed, and he's hilarious, and he's, you know, says all this like funny stuff. But then you find out that he's this guy, track star, who was like a former hero that you know, used to know him, and you learn that throughout the game. You understand their relationship, but like, you're just like, oh, I haven't seen you in so long. And like, you can say all this funny stuff. He's like, how are you so old? Because you should be like younger. And he's like, oh, it's the powers, because he has like super speed. But then he finds out that his super speed causes him to advance in aging. So he's only like 38, but he looks like he's in his like 80s. So you're just kind of like, oh no, like that sucks. But like, you know, he's like, yeah, but now I just dispatch here. And he's the one who like told Blazer to seek you out for dispatching. So I love that. I love their story, their whole story. That's going to be a big thing to talk about as we go. I wrote down in my notes, forever dick donut. I think that's just the only option. The dick donut is just, it's the best thing. So one thing that I wanted to note, and like it might come off as like a dick measuring competition, but it's really not. I bumped Robert up to junior dispatcher, so like you can promote him during shifts if you have enough successes. And you can actually get up to like, I forget what like the final one is, but like you're basically like the top tier level dispatcher. So there's like junior, associate, and then like a couple other ones like expert dispatcher or something. So I had like a higher level of successes, but I mean, it's because I played through the game so much, I kind of know like better how to play it. But so I promoted him up, but there is also like the chance that like you never get promoted. Like if you fail enough missions, like you could stay at like, you know, like a basic level below junior dispatcher for the entire game. And what that impacts is as you get promoted, you get access to more resources. So like you get like if somebody is resting, you can bring them out of rest. It's like this little coffee pot icon, and you get like one of like each one per shift. So like you can use that to basically like, okay, like you're no longer winded, you can get back in and do another mission. Or if you get like the next promotion after that, you get like a healing one. So if they're hurt, you can heal them. And then there's a third and final one that will let you res somebody if they're completely down. So like if somebody's like down and out, but like you still need them, like you can bring them back. It's always helpful, but it's not necessary. You can still play the game and still have a good like experience without having those, but it is kind of fun to like see him climb up the corporate ladder.
Yeah, that's not something I must have gotten promotions, because I do remember getting those different abilities and powers, but I don't remember how well I did or whatever.
Yeah, this was the first time that because I was really trying to get him promoted. It was like a focus for this run through, because I wanted to see, I'd never gotten to like the top tier one before, so I was like, let's see if I can do it. It's definitely helpful to have access to that stuff throughout. The sooner the better, but also like I had a playthrough where I didn't and I was fine. And then my last note is when Robert is back in the break room with Invisigal and he's talking to her about the donut mission, you have 3 choices of what you can say to her. Like I think there's a couple different conversational choices you can make, and each one you can choose whether to be like very like attacking or being a little bit more like broad, putting it in her court. But I felt like regardless, like they were all like pretty harsh. And it's like, yeah, like she messed up, she didn't listen to you, but like Robert is very abrasive with her in that reaction, in that interaction, which is why I think she punches him, because he's basically like, he's the nicest one that you can say at the end of it. He's like, you're never going to be a good hero because you're always going to be like a selfish little bitch. And then that's when she like gets mad and she like leaves, and then she comes back and she punches him. So I'm like, you know, it's a little justified that she kind of blew up at him, but
yeah, that was the other reason I think I didn't necessarily want to throw her under the bus, because it was like, all right, Robert kind of earned that one.
Right. You know, one other thing to note with like the whole like donut shop sequence too is that kind of introduces you to this aspect of how like you have this like hacking function that you can do, where sometimes you can hack into a system and like you can like turn something on or disable something to like let your team get in or whatever. And in this one, you have the option to enable this like sprinkler system to basically like mess up like the weapon of the guy that Invisigal is fighting. And if you're successful at it, that's one of the things that helps show her that you're there to support her, and it helps push her towards the hero side. So it's one of those choices where like if you mess that up, it's going to make it harder for you to make her a hero at the end of it. Episode 3. This was one of the hardest choices for me, and you go through all this stuff in the episode where it's kind of like Blazer at the beginning is like, yeah, like I decided I want to, before, this is a little backstory that I'll go into with it, but like she calls you into her office basically, and like you have to talk to her, and she's telling you how like she didn't want you to go on the date with Phenomenon and her because she was breaking up with him that night. And then you're kind of like left there thinking like, was it my fault because I was like hitting on you? But like regardless of that, she was going to do it. So it's just kind of like she was already there mentally, which is I think why she's been like kind of like interested in Robert. I think she was already like mentally checked out of her relationship, and they just have chemistry. And you basically learn that, and then she's like, oh, but that's not why I called you in here. Like I was thinking about it last night, and I think we should cut somebody from your team to kind of send a message that like you guys can't get away with stuff and you need to take this more seriously. So the first thing that they're having us talk about here at the end of the episode is, do you cut Sonar or do you cut Coupe? Yeah, who did you cut?
I regrettably cut Sonar. I did not want to cut either of these characters. I was like, really, Blazer? Out of everybody on the team, like, these are my 2 best guys. Why are we picking them? Like, Flambe's right there. Fuck that guy. I used Flambe as little as possible because fuck him. I mean, like, I wanted, man, he was such a dick. It was like, if you're going to be a dick all the time,
so
I'm not going to send you on missions.
Yeah, he's super mean throughout, like, the whole entire game, but, like, he is actually really useful. Especially, like, you have sub powers that you can get, like some passives that help you out throughout missions if you level up characters high enough, and his are really good. So it's kind of like, it's like when you had that, like, one shitty employee that, like, you don't want to deal with, but, like, you're kind of relying on them. So you're like, I want to get rid of you, but I can't because I need you. So exactly. I also cut Sonar on this playthrough, and that was also regrettably. And I had cut him the first playthrough that I did because he annoyed the shit out of me the whole time. Like, I was like, I hate this guy. He's such a douchebag. I don't like him because he's got that, like, 80s Wall Street dipshit. What am I thinking? Like, stock market type guys, right? He's like stocks and bonds,
he's a stock
bro.
Market
I'm gonna go huff a line of coke, and then I'm gonna go make some deals, baby. Yeah, he's like one of those types of guys. And I cut him immediately. Like, for the first playthrough, I was like, this isn't even a choice. Like, he's awful. And, like, he has this moment too where he gets handcuffed in the gym, which is one of my talking points, but I'll just cover it now because I think it really played into, like, my initial reason for cutting him. He gets handcuffed because he's, like, in the gym, and then you find out, you're like, why are you still here? Why aren't you out in the field? And he's like, I need help, Robert. I'm stuck. And then you're like, why are you handcuffed to, like, a bench press? And he's like, Coupe seduced me. And then she's like, I did not seduce you. She's like, I simply told you that, I had something interesting to show you. And he's like, yeah, well, like, you said it in a hot voice, so I assumed you meant boobs, So he's just like, he's like a little bit of a pervert. He's kind of like this specific personality type. So, like, for me, it was initially like a no-brainer. I have picked him to keep on other playthroughs, and knowing how he is and how Coupe is, if you pick one or the other, it's a really hard choice now because they both have some significant benefits. So it's hard to get rid of either one for me. Like, I look at that choice now when I play, and I let the bar get all the way to the bottom, and I just, like, go with my heart in the moment because I'm like, I don't want to pick either one. I want to keep them both. They're both really good. But yeah, Sonar, I feel like he's easier. So later in the game, you have to fight one of them. I know this whole thing is spoilers anyways, but, like, I feel like he's easier to beat in that sequence, but it's still a hard choice.
Yeah, so I mean, I chose him because it was just like, I don't want to choose either of you, but this one's clearly the potential HR lawsuit, so I'm gonna go with this one.
Yeah, he's definitely an HR lawsuit, but then again, like, Coupe has, like, the bloodlust, and there's always the concern: is she gonna murder somebody? Because she might. She's a little bit of a risk, but she's less of a risk than Sonar.
Yeah, I mean, that's less of an HR issue and more of just a straight up, like, crime issue at that point, though.
Yeah, I mean, HR would be involved if she killed somebody in the office.
Sure, certainly, but he killing somebody is one thing, but an employee could go around all day doing microaggressions and sexually harassing everybody in the office, and that doesn't necessarily get addressed.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But I mean, like, I did find the dude bro of Sonar a little, like, I found it distasteful, but, like, I liked Sonar as a character just because he was, like, a lot of the characters were not friendly to you initially because, again, you hadn't really met anybody yet, but he was one of the characters, I think, if I remember correctly, who was just like, what's up, man? It was just like, I'm just gonna accept you for who you are right now, and we'll go from there.
Right.
He didn't seem to care.
Yeah, no, he's definitely more chill. Coupe is super nice to you too, though. Like, she's kind of weird, but, like, in, like, that goth chick, kill all the things in death kind of way, which is fun. I love her character. But yeah, he's a little bit more, like, bubbly and friendly to you. I think one of the things that I enjoy about that choice too is that you learn that each of them has like a potential like love interest of their own in the game. So like there's like chemistry between Malevola, one of the other characters who's this like red like Hellboyish looking chick, and Sonar. They have kind of like a flirty relationship, and you can kind of tell that they're into each other. But then also Coupe and Punch Up like previously dated, so you learn that they used to have a relationship and things seem to kind of be rekindling. So whichever one you pick, there's that piece to it. So again, picking them. Go ahead.
Note to the creators here. I wanted Muscle Mommy as my love interest choice.
Yeah.
You give us a big giant Hellboy Muscle Mommy and that's not a potential option? Come on. Rude.
Yeah, and she does flirt with you in a later episode. So like when that happened, I was like, are they introducing her as a third love interest and now everything that you've done so far is going to go out the window? But no, she was just kind of there to create conflict with Invisigal, I think. Yeah. Our next choice that's in the episode is, how did you handle Gollum?
I had to kick him out of the conference room. Again, I don't want to be a dick, but like by this episode, we're 3 episodes in, and we have your entire team just constantly disrespecting you and not accepting you. Like, it's like, listen, guys, whether you like me or not, we all have to work together, and my role is your frickin' manager. You know, basically. I don't think that was his title or anything, but he's basically their manager. So it's like, you can't act like this. We can't have this relationship, and I have to make somebody an example. And it was right there. It was like, dude, this has been an issue before. If you don't actually take care and mind your surroundings like we've talked about, this is going to be an issue that we have to deal with. And right now I'm dealing with it by telling you, get out of get out of the conference room.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable approach. So I have never picked that option. So I was kind of curious to see if you did and how it played out. So basically what happens is like your team is like, you know, they're fucking off. And I think I'm going to have to put the explicit flag when we launch this episode. There's no way I'm editing out all of these swears. It's going to be too much. So he's, you know, everyone's fucking around. They're all being like super dumb, and you just like get fed up because like, so part of that is you tell the team that someone's going to get cut at the end of the shift. So everyone's like, they're sabotaging each other. People are just like giving up, and you're super frustrated with them, and you pull them into this conference room to be like, all right, like you need to get your shit together. Like you need to stop, quit your bullshit. You need to try, like, this is an opportunity for you guys to be better. So you need to try and be better. And when you get into the conference room, you're kind of standing by the door, and Gollum shows up late, and he pushes the door open, and he's like what's called like a construct. He's like this big being who's like mystically like created and like sentient inside of this body that's composed of inorganic materials. And he's huge.
And he's just massive. Yeah.
Right. So when he pushes the door open, Robert goes like flying to the floor, and then you have the choice of like kick him out of the room, or you can pick up a chair and you throw it at him, which is what I've picked every time because I think it's hilarious. And you just like grab this chair, and he's like saying something, you just throw it at him, you like launch it over your shoulder, and it sticks into his body. And he just like, everyone goes quiet, and he just looks at you, and you're just like, take a seat. And then he like lets the chair fall out of his body, and he's like, I'll just sit on the floor. And then he goes to the other side of the table and sits on the floor, because I think you just like, it was like a show of force where you're like, I don't care how big you are, I am not going to put up with you. And he's just like, okay. So like it actually works out really well for like how he, I think it changes how he interacts with you throughout the game, but like I don't know, because I haven't picked the other option, because I just love throwing the chair at him.
So I mean, yeah, like I don't remember exactly what happens, but you kick him out, and everybody's just kind of like everybody's just I think if I remember correctly, everybody's just kind of quiet, nobody says anything, and like he just kind of goes outside and then like just looks back in through the window or whatever, and it's just like and then just kind of goes off.
Yeah, and I think that probably, so like there's like a morale factor too that comes into play later on in the game, and I think that probably makes the morale even worse if you do that, but I'd be curious to see.
Probably.
Yeah, because that's how these games go. So when you play a Telltale game, or in this case an AdHoc Studios, aka like Telltale-esque game, the choices that you make, even the dialogue, will impact the story going forward. So that's why like making the choices is fun to talk about, because you can make a subtle difference like in a choice in episode 1 that makes a big difference at the end of the entire game. So
I'm sure throwing the chair at him is probably the better choice to pick. But again, like, I'm looking at this from a managerial perspective. I'm like, I'm not going to create an HR nightmare.
Yeah.
I'm not going to throw a chair at an employee in the middle of a meeting. I'm supposed to be the manager here, so I'm just going to be like, I'm just going to do a manager move and just be like, get out.
Yeah, it's so satisfying though. It's so satisfying throwing that chair into him. So the next choice, I'm going to give a little bit of a rundown. I want to try and be a little bit better about giving people like what leads up to the choice.
What the choices are.
So you have like the first half of the shift, and then you have this conference room scene, and then you kind of like reset everyone, and you're like, you all need to take this seriously. So then most people do start taking it seriously, and they're performing better. They're not trying to like mess each other up. And then one of the sequences that happens before that leads to Robert calling everyone into the conference room is Malevola is chasing down this villain, Lightning Struck, who is the guy that Invisigal fought in the donut shop, and he gets away. So then she ends up sabotaging Malevola from capturing this guy. And then, you know, like Robert's like super mad at her because he's like, that was the guy that you let go the other day, and now you just let him go again. And you know, so then you get to the later on, and everyone's doing a really good job. Everyone's performing better. And then in Invisigal, you see her on like, you have like a little screen that tracks where all of your heroes are in the city. You just kind of see her leave SDN, and she takes off, and you're like, where are you going? And then you find her like on like a security camera. She's at a playground, and she's just like, you know, kind of like having this like heart to heart with you, where she's like, you know, like, I can't be a hero. Like, I was born with villain powers. Like, I turn invisible. Like, I think her line was like my power lets me like steal shit and watch celebrities fuck. And you're like, okay. And then you basically have the option there to like, and that might be one of the choices, so I won't go into that part yet, but like effectively, like, you're like, okay, well, guess what? You get to go fight this guy now, because now he's robbing a jewelry store. So this is like your last chance to really redeem yourself here. So she goes for it, and then you can support her through. So did you help her in her fight against Lightning Struck?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, because like you can choose to do nothing. I mean, you don't have to.
Again, looking at it from a managerial perspective, I'm like, no, this is my fucking team. I gotta help them. Like, I'm not gonna let her. And she, like, yes, she's been a bit of a dick, but you can tell from her personality that she's dealing with some stuff, and it's like,
yeah.
She's in a reform program. I'm trying to help reform her. I'm not just gonna like, me just like letting people like fail is not gonna help reform them.
Right.
Like that doesn't help. So I'm like, so I have to help her, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I love like when they give you the percentages for some of these choices. So this one for me, it said you and 99% of players helped Invisigal against Lightning Struck. And I feel like anyone in that like less than 1%, like, fuck you. The whole point,
what are you doing?
The whole point of this is these are reformed villains, and you were trying to help them turn into heroes. So if you choose not to support one of them because like they're clearly in a bad headspace because they're like, I was destined to be a villain, like, you have the opportunity to change that. It's like, it'd be like, exactly, like you're a manager, like you have a bad employee, like they're not performing well, they have problems, like you have a choice where you can either like help them level set and be like, look, like I'm here to support you, but like you got to make some better choices, right? Or you can just like let them fail, but like that's also on you as a manager. So I think the only choice is to let, you know, to help her. Like there's no other choice.
Right.
The only other choice is being a dick. So like if you didn't help her, then
yeah, I mean, unless you were going through this game and trying to play it like dark side.
Right. Yeah, which I guess you could. I mean, that's,
if you were trying to be the villain.
The one caveat is that like where you can fail her without intentionally is if you fail the hacking part of that, because then you don't turn the lights on to blind Lightning Struck, and then I think he can have like I've never lost it, but I think that he can actually beat her and escape again. But I'm not 100% sure. But I think either way, she basically feels like you let her down. So even if it, I don't know, it could be like she captures him every time, but if you don't support her in it, like she's going to lose confidence in you and it's going to drive her more to the dark side.
Yeah.
So the next choice that we have, so when you have everybody in the conference room and you're giving your like motivational speech or non-motivational, depending on your choice, what did you say to the team?
I went with all of you are phoenixes because again, that's what we're doing. Like this is like, I know like this is I believe it's kind of Blazer's company. I think is that correct? Like she's some sort of important person in the company.
I think she's the hero in charge of the branch because they allude to the fact that there's like multiple branches. Like Phenomena Man comes from like a branch that's in like downtown Los Angeles, for example. That's like the better branch, quote unquote. And this is like a satellite branch. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, like their whole thing is like we're trying to reform villains. It's a reform program. It doesn't help anybody to just like dump on them. So I'm like, listen, guys, this is like, you are literally like, you were something, that part of your life has ended and now you are starting a new chapter. You are phoenixes. Like that is the mentality you guys need to have.
Yeah.
Because that is what you are. Like,
absolutely.
Like you are the choices you're going to make and you all can make good choices right now. And that's what we're here to do. And I'm here to support you for that.
Absolutely. And I've chosen that every single time. And I think some of the other options are like, you can like really shit on them and basically like, because you answer a question or you say something before that. You're like, when I look around this room, I see, and you can say like potential is like the positive one, or you can say fear or like something else that's like negative. And you can either like put them down in that moment with either dialogue choice, or you can build them up. And I think the Phoenix comment, you can be like, you guys are like, you're setting this program on fire, which I think is supposed to be like a negative. Like, you guys are ruining this. Like, you need to stop. And then the other one is like super negative too. I forget what the other choice is, but you basically, I think you have to build them up. So I always choose all of you are Phoenixes. Like, you're trying to build their confidence, tell them like, you can be reformed. You have the potential. You guys all are in that redemption arc now. It's up to you to take the steps to go there. So you're just motivating them. And I think it's the only choice.
You're trying to build trust with somebody. How are you going to build trust with somebody? By being like, hey, you suck.
Yeah, you suck. So now let's go do more. Right? Yeah,
you suck. Now listen to everything I say and trust it.
So then the next choice that you have is the scene where Invisigal leaves and she's just like, like, I'm just gonna quit, I'm gonna make the choice easy for you. And she's like at the playground and you're trying to like get her to like, come back. What do you say to her in that moment?
Now what I say to her, I think, is in response to her saying like, I'm destined to be a villain or something. I think she's saying some kind of dialogue akin to something like that, and she says something about like, it was written in the stars or whatever. I chose fuck the stars. Because that is what I, as a person, would choose. Because that is a firm belief that I have. I am an individual. I have, I think I've mentioned it before. Not the individual part, but the next part. I have ADHD. I have, some stuff going on. I suspect, it has not been diagnosed, but I suspect there is an element of potential, what's the terminology? Object defiance disorder, or
I know what you're talking about.
What is it? Objective defiance disorder.
Yeah, basically somebody's like, you need to do this, and you're just like, all right, well, now I'm absolutely not going to do that because you told me I had to.
Yes. By nature, I am a contrarian. Like, I don't necessarily present that way, but like anytime somebody tells me to do anything, in my head, I'm like, my brain immediately goes to, what is the opposite option available?
Yeah.
So when somebody says to me destiny, I'm going to be the person that's like, fuck destiny. It's like you can't fuck destiny. That's like how destiny works. Like, it is by definition, like, you can't just like ignore it. I'm gonna be like, fuck destiny, kick it in the dick.
Absolutely. Having known each other for almost 30 years, I can say that like that is an absolute trait of yours. I've learned to like approach you in a way where like, if I tell you like you have to do this, you're just going to be like, well, no, and I'm like, okay, well now this isn't happening ever again. I have to like be more delicate and be like, okay, well let's talk about this. Like, I need to negotiate.
Be like, I think, be like, here's the idea I'm presenting, and from my perspective, this seems like the best possible choice. And then I'll be like, well, okay, when you put it like that.
Yeah, I mean, I try to do that with everybody anyways. Like, I try to be more like diplomatic, and like, I don't like to be authoritarian. So like, because I also don't like that either. Like, don't tell me what to do. Like, no, like absolutely fuck the stars. So that's why I chose that. I did choose the other two in 2 other playthroughs just to see, but one of those playthroughs, I actually hated the other response so much because she just looked so defeated that I went back to the menu. I went back into that scene for that episode and I overwrote it so I could change the choice. Because I was like, I don't like this. Wow. This is not how I want this to go, and I'm not letting it stay. And that's an option. You can overwrite a whole episode or even like different scenes that play out if you really didn't like a choice. But like, I would encourage people not to do that. Just like do your playthrough and see how it goes, and then think about how things ended up and think about how to change your choices going forward to see if you can make your experience better.
Did you write it down? Do you remember what the other choices were?
I don't think I did.
That's fine. I was just curious what it was.
Yeah, like one of them is just like I don't believe in fate, and like it comes off as kind of like half-hearted, and she's just kind of like, oh. And then like the other one is kind of like I forget what the other one is, but the other one basically makes her feel like you don't actually care. It's just kind of like this benign response that's kind of like, well, like, like you made these choices so you can change going forward kind of thing. And it's like, it doesn't come off as like nice and like supportive. And I think she just kind of like is just like, okay, well, that did nothing for me. All right. So I think the next thing is like how many? So the heroes sabotage each other in the first half of the shift. And when they get sabotaged, you have the option to help them while they're sabotaged. But like it goes quick, so like you can easily miss it. Like I think I didn't even realize that you could do that on my first playthrough, and then I picked up on it on the second one, and I was like, oh no, I totally missed this whole piece. No wonder why the team hated me so much. But yeah, we don't need to go into that one too much.
I managed 2 times with
2 times. Yeah, that's what I did
to help out of 5 to help them. I think I was probably in the same boat where I probably didn't necessarily realize I could do anything, or if I did, I was like, I probably just made a bad choice.
Yeah, well, that's interesting too, because depending on what heroes you send to what missions, you can have more or less attempts of them sabotaging each other and who you send with who. So like certain heroes have synergy with each other and they won't sabotage each other. So like Punch Up and Coupe, they won't. Invisigal and Gollum won't because they have like synergy. Sonar and Malevola won't. But like if you pair them with other people, like if you put Prism with literally anyone, she will sabotage people. Malevola will, Punch Up will sabotage people. Gollum usually gets the short end of the stick. He can, but I've noticed like he seems to have the least sabotages. But when that happens, you send certain people. So I only had 3 sabotages happen, and I was able to make 2 escape. So, but yeah,
I had 5 sabotages.
They get feisty with each other. It's a funny dynamic, and it's an interesting thing to have to work through. It really talks to like the realism of workplace dynamics when your employees aren't getting along, and you have to like help them make nice with each other. So the next choice that we have here is, did you send Punch Up to the fighting tournament alone to fight and participate in it?
I don't remember, but apparently I decided to shut the fighting tournament down.
Yeah, so that's the other option. Like you can, I think, like you can hack in and shut down the facility, or you can, or maybe it's either that or it's you send a different group of heroes to shut it down. So yeah, I think it's that. Like you can pick like 2 or 3 heroes, you send them in, you shut down the tournament, or you let Punch Up go compete in it alone. And he kind of wants you to do that. It's kind of similar to like the last episode where Sonar's like, let me meet Vanderstank, he's my idol. So it's like a little self-indulgent because you can see that like he's a fighter. Like, he loves to brawl. He probably likes to brawl on like the weekends in a fight club, right? So like you can indulge him, you can send him. I sent him because I I've done both, and I really like how he reacts to Robert for doing that, because he sees it as like you listened to me, it was a favor, and like you did me a solid. So I think he interacts with you better afterwards.
I think I was still doing the manager thing and just being like,
Yeah.
no, dude, come on, we gotta shut this shit down.
Right. Yeah, I kind of like catered to it a little bit, just kind of like, I feel like there's like, you kind of learn like there is like some wiggle room for like a gentle touch to be like, okay, like you're transitioning out of that villain phase and into a hero phase, so like let me help you with like a baby step approach.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how I viewed it, but I could also see just shutting it down too, because I did do that. I think my first playthrough I shut it down. So who was your most sent hero on this time?
It was fucking Sonar.
Oh no.
Which pissed me off so much, because that was when I was like, no! Like, don't make me pick Sonar! Because I used it. He was so useful because he had like 2 modes.
Yeah.
Where after he goes on a mission, he kind of like werewolves out and goes full bat. Yep. And then his stats change. So then you can use him for different types of missions. So he has like versatility to him that the others didn't have. He was a really great character from just a gameplay perspective, not necessarily even going into, story and character. Like just from a gameplay perspective, he was a great character to have, and I was really upset to have to lose him.
Yeah, I agree. He's the most versatile character, and you can make Waterboy more versatile of a character too, like if you pick him later on, but he never gets like as good as anyone else. So but like you can level him up to level 10 on intelligence. Like it can happen, but still, like you're not rounding him out and he doesn't transform to be more well-rounded of a character as Sonar. My most sent hero in this episode was Punch Up. I was really leaning into like sending him with Coupe on missions because of their synergy. Like it gives them a better success rate. They get more experience points. And I try to like lean towards that because it is a good mechanic in the game.
I have a question about that character, Punch Up.
Yeah.
Were there celebrities doing the voices for some of these?
Oh, probably.
Who did the voice for Punch Up?
You would know who.
It's
I think his name's Sean McLaughlin or something like that.
I thought it was like a famous what's his face, somebody who's been in big movies recently, because there was a reference to a specific actor. Who's the guy who did the first couple seasons of The Witcher?
Oh, Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill. I don't remember what it is, but there's some movie where Henry Cavill's fighting, and apparently there's a thing where he reloads his fists.
Oh, yep, and he does
the fist
that.
Reload?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that story too, because apparently that was Henry Cavill being like, I wasn't trying to do a thing. He was like, my arms were sore and I was trying to like warm them up before I got into the thing. He's like, I was just trying to warm my arms up because they were so stiff and sore. And then like I'm pretty sure there's a scene where Punch Up does that, and he does like the arm reload before like a fight or something, and I love that. So I was like, wait, did Henry Cavill play that? Was that a reference? Like, this is clearly a reference to Henry Cavill doing that, but I didn't know if it was because he was actually voicing it or something, or if it was just an Easter egg for fun.
I think it was just an Easter egg. Yeah, he's voiced by an Irish YouTuber that goes by the name of Jacksepticeye, and his name is Sean McLaughlin. And there's a bunch of celebrity, like those like types of celebrities, not necessarily mainstream. Like there's like an artist, Young Gravy. He plays Gollum. Thought Squad plays Prism. And some of her songs are in some of the episodes. So I think she probably did like a little side deal there.
Oh, nice.
And this guy, I know I've seen him and stuff. There's this other guy, Joel Haver. He's another famous YouTuber. Malevola's actress, I think, is also... Yeah, she's an Australian video game writer, the lady that voices Malevola. And then there's this other guy, the guy that plays Sonar. He's another famous personality that goes by the name Moist Critical.
I feel like I've heard
I don't know
that
what he does,
name
though.
before.
I'm not sure what else he does. I can't see any stuff, but he must do some other stuff. It seems like there's like a handful. Then there's also a handful of voice actors that have appeared in previous Telltale games. couple of them on here.
Okay.
Matt Mercer's one of them. Aaron Yvette, Laura Bailey. I think they've all been. Travis Willingham. I think all of these actors have been in previous games. Aaron Paul is the most notable. So Aaron Paul, aka Jesse from Breaking Bad, he voices Robert, the main character, which I think is the most notable one for like mainstream. He's fantastic.
He did a great job in this,
I didn't even know it was him until the second playthrough. Yeah, you wouldn't even realize like, oh, this is Aaron Paul. You're just like, wow, this voice actor is just really talented. Mm-hmm. So how many powers did you activate this time? This one, I'm not like a dick waving competition, but I'm just kind of curious because I did terrible my first playthrough.
Apparently, I activated hero's powers 28 times.
Wow, really?
Yes. Is that a lot?
Yeah, I only activated powers 14 times in this playthrough.
Oh, apparently I was really banking on that.
Yeah, you, looks like you did good. Good job. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't activate them. I must not have sent the right people in the right missions or something.
I bet you I know what it was. There's a character that if you send other heroes on a mission with them, they get healed.
Oh, yeah.
I was using that all the time.
That's why.
I was like, I'm going to send you out on a milk run. You know, like, oh, you got to go, like, pick up a dog. Oh, you have, like, half a sliver of health missing. And you're going on this mission for no other reason but to heal. Like, that's your only purpose you're serving right now.
Right. Yeah, I forget who does the healing. I think it might be Malevola, but I'm not 100%.
Was it Prism? Oh, maybe. Yeah, I think it is Malevola. I
think it's Malevola. Yeah, she's super cool. And then eventually Waterboy can also have a healing trait too.
Dang.
Yeah, so I have never picked Phenomenon, and we'll go into that when we get to that choice, but I've always picked Waterboy. I can't not pick him. Like, you can really cater him to be a very effective character. It just takes a little work, but like he can be such a good character for the team. So for my notes that I've got, we already talked about the whole like Coop seducing Sonar, but you know, I loved that whole thing where he's just like, well, you said it in a hot voice. I assumed it meant boobs. Like, what a turd.
Yep.
Oh, so a lot of the dialogue in this episode was really good to me. So there's the point where when you're in the conference room and before you have like your morality speech, everyone's like bickering with each other. And there's a part where Punch Up says something to Prism and she gets mad at him and she grabs one of Coupe's like little like metal wing knife things that's on her back and she jumps on the table and she holds the knife to Punch Up's throat and she threatens him a little bit and he's just like, see, Robert, like we're all just joking, we're just busting balls here. And she's just like, she says something to him, she's like, you look like Mumford fucked all his sons. It's like, that's hilarious. Oh, the dialogue. And then another fun dialogue piece I have here is when Invisigal is fighting Lightning Struck in the last part of the episode. After she beats him, she tries to come up with like a witty like one-liner to say to him, and like she says something, and I didn't write the first one down, and she's got like her foot on his chest, and then she's like, no, wait, hang on a second. And then she's like, now you see me? No, hang on. And then she like puts her boot on his throat. And then she's just like, lights out, thunder cunt. And she was like, was that one good? And Robert's like, yeah, you should have led with that one though. Yeah. And then I already talked about this, but like, I just had a note, like I cut Sonar. I really didn't want to, but you know, I just decided to in that moment. You have any other thoughts on this episode?
No, I'm good to move on.
So since this ended up being a very long recording session, we decided that it would be best to split this into 2 parts. So this is going to be the end of part 1, where we covered episodes 1 through 3 of Dispatch. And I would like to thank everyone for listening. Thank you for hearing all of the very explicit language and content that goes on in Dispatch. We knew that it was going to be like this, and this is going to be our first explicit episode because there's no way we can bleep out all of those swears and naughty things. So definitely keep that in mind. Don't let the children listen, unless you're okay with them listening to that. That's your choice as a parent. Thank you for hearing all of our fun stuff. Thank you for joining every week. If you're a new listener, thanks for being a new listener. You can find all of our stuff on coopchaos.com.
All game audio and sounds featured on Co-op Chaos are the exclusive rights of their respective developers. See what she do.
See what happened.
Oh, right in the face.